Priya Sharma, a devoted Indian nurse searching for love in Dubai. Farhan Al-Mansour, a wealthy patient craving attention. Layla Al-Mansour, the elegant wife who discovers their secret videos. What began as a hospital romance soon spiraled into obsession, betrayal, and a deadly confrontation that shocked Dubai's elite. When love turns forbidden and evidence goes viral, no one escapes alive. Priya Sharma had always dreamed of a better life. Growing up in a small town in India, she had watched her parents struggle to make ends meet. Becoming a nurse wasn't just her passion, it was her escape. In 2019, she finally landed a job at a private hospital in Dubai, a place of glittering towers and hidden secrets. The salary was good, the apartment came with a view of the city lights, and for the first time, Priya felt her life was heading somewhere bright. But like every light in Dubai, hers was destined to cast a long, dark shadow. Her days were filled with hospital rounds, changing dressings, and managing patients who came from every corner of the world. Priya was known for her calm voice and gentle hands. Even the most irritable patients softened when she entered the room. She didn't socialize much, kept her head down, and sent most of her earnings back to India. That was her routine until one evening when a new patient was admitted to her. Farhan Al-Mansour. Farhan was unlike anyone she had ever met. A middle-aged businessman known in Dubai for his wealth and power, he had been admitted for a mild heart condition. Yet his presence filled the entire room. His watch gleamed under the hospital light. His perfume lingered long after he spoke, and his words carried the confidence of someone used to being obeyed. At first, Priya treated him like any other patient, politely, efficiently, professionally. But Farhan wasn't just another patient. He noticed her. He asked about her life, her family, and why she came to Dubai. He listened, really listened, something few people ever did. Over the following weeks, their interactions grew warmer. Farhan would joke about hospital food, compliment her for her dedication, and sometimes extend his hand for just a little longer than necessary when she checked his pulse. Priya knew it was wrong to blur professional lines, yet she found herself drawn to him. There was something magnetic in the way he looked at her, like he saw her not as a nurse, but as a woman with dreams and emotions. After his discharge, Farhan sent her a small thank you gift, a silver bracelet with her initials engraved on it. She hesitated before accepting, but the gesture felt harmless. Soon, he began inviting her for coffee. At first, she refused, but loneliness has a way of whispering louder in foreign lands. One evening, she agreed. That night, they talked for hours at a quiet cafe near Jumeirah Beach, watching the city lights flicker on the water. For the first time in years, Priya felt seen, special, desired. Their meetings became frequent. Farhan would pick her up in his luxury car, always careful to park away from her apartment building to avoid attention. They spent weekends together in rented villas and beachside resorts. Priya told herself it was love, that maybe fate had given her something rare and beautiful. But deep down, she knew their relationship was built on secrets. Farhan was married. His wife, Layla Al-Mansour, came from an influential Emirati family and was often away attending social events and charity galas. Priya convinced herself that Farhan's marriage was only a formality, that he was trapped in a loveless relationship. Still, guilt followed her like a shadow. She deleted messages, changed contact names, and told her roommate, Aisha, that she was picking up extra shifts whenever she met Farhan. To hold on to their memories, she recorded small video clips, a laugh, a drive, a walk by the sea. None of it was meant for anyone else's eyes. They were her private collection of happiness, something to look back on when she felt alone. What Priya didn't realize was that those same videos would one day become evidence in her own downfall. As their affair deepened, Farhan began to change. He grew possessive, paranoid even. He didn't like when Priya spoke to male colleagues or went out without telling him. He often reminded her of everything he'd done for her, the gifts, the luxury, the comfort. Slowly, Priya felt the warmth of their love turning cold, replaced by something darker and controlling. Yet she couldn't walk away. Every time she tried, Farhan would apologize, promise change, and shower her with affection. It became a cycle she couldn't escape. Meanwhile, Priya's online presence started to grow. She posted pictures of sunsets, coffee cups, and glimpses of luxury hotels, careful never to show. Her friends back home assumed she had found success and happiness. But behind every smile, Priya hid the truth, a forbidden love that could destroy everything if revealed. And for those watching this story unfold right now, ask yourself, how far would you go for love? Would you risk your career, your reputation, even your safety? Let us know in the comments below, and if this story already has you hooked, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Because as you'll soon discover, this affair wasn't just dangerous, it was deadly. By the end of that year, Priya thought she had found a balance between love and secrecy. But just beyond her perfect illusion, someone else had started watching. Someone who knew every lie, every meeting, and every hidden video. The storm was coming, and when it hit, nothing in Priya's world would ever be the same again. Layla Mansour was the kind of woman who drew attention without trying. Tall, elegant, and always dressed in designer perfection. She was a symbol of Dubai's elite, the wife of one of the city's most influential businessmen. Her world revolved around luxury events, charity galas, and maintaining an image of flawless grace. But beneath the surface, her marriage was far from perfect. Farhan had grown distant, distracted, and secretive. At first, Layla assumed it was stress from work. But soon, she began to sense that something much deeper was going on. It started with small things. Farhan taking late-night phone calls in another room, deleting messages as soon as they came, or suddenly becoming protective of his phone. One evening, when he returned home later than usual, she noticed the faint scent of perfume on his clothes, a scent that was not hers. Still, she said nothing. In their world, appearances mattered more than truth. But silence doesn't hace suspicion. It only feeds it. A few weeks later, a rumor began circulating through Dubai's social circles. A friend at one of Layla's luncheons mentioned seeing Farhan at a hotel restaurant with a young woman, not a family member, not a colleague, but someone who looked far too affectionate to be either. Layla brushed it off with a practiced smile, pretending not to care. But inside, her heart clenched with fear and fury. That night, she sat in her empty living room, scrolling through social media, searching for anything that could confirm what she already dreaded knowing. Days later, an email arrived in her inbox from an anonymous sender. The subject line was simple: "You should see this." Attached were several short video clips. Layla clicked the first one. The footage was shaky, as if recorded on a phone. It showed Farhan sitting in a car beside a young Indian woman in nurse's scrubs. They were laughing, sharing coffee, their hands brushing together. The next clip was in a hotel room. Farhan was out of focus, but the woman's face was clear. It was Priya Sharma, A nurse Layla had met briefly when Farhan was hospitalized months ago. Layla stared at the screen, frozen. The videos played again and again, each one slicing through her like glass. Her husband, the man she had defended, the man she had shared her life with, was betraying her with a woman she had once thanked for saving his life. The humiliation burned deeper than the betrayal. It wasn't just about love, it was about pride, status, and control. She didn't cry. Layla was not the kind of woman who broke down easily. Instead, she started to plan. Her instincts turned cold and calculating. She saved every video, every piece of evidence, and began following Priya's social media quietly. The nurse's posts were subtle, but Layla recognized the luxury cars, the background of certain hotel lobbies, the faint reflection of Farhan's watch in one of the clips. Priya wasn't flaunting the affair, but she wasn't hiding it well enough either. In the days that followed, Layla began to investigate. She paid a private driver to follow Priya after work. She learned that Priya lived in a modest apartment near Dubai, often left late at night, and occasionally didn't return until the morning. She even discovered that Farhan had been transferring small amounts of money to Priya's account under a fake business name. Piece by piece, the truth unfolded like a slow, cruel movie, one Layla couldn't look away from for weeks. She remained silent, her anger simmering beneath a calm exterior. Farhan never noticed the change in her. He still kissed her on the cheek before leaving, still brought her gifts, still acted as though everything was fine. But behind his back, Layla was collecting proof, building a private gallery of betrayal. Finally, one night she watched the videos again, this time noticing something she had missed before, a reflection of Farhan's wedding ring in one of the frames. That small detail broke something inside her. The affair wasn't just emotional, it was intimate, real, and humiliating. She realized there was no coming back from this, so she waited. She tracked Priya's hospital schedule, learning her shifts, her breaks, and even the route she took home. She learned that Priya often stopped at the same cafe near the marina, the same place where she and Farhan first met. Layla's calm turned into obsession. She wanted to confront her, to see the fear in her eyes, to take back the control that had been stolen from her life. As the days passed, Layla's behavior grew colder. Her friends noticed she had stopped attending gatherings. Her calls went unanswered, and her once perfect demeanor was replaced by something distant, almost hollow. But behind that silence, her mind was working relentlessly. She knew exactly what she wanted: revenge. And for those watching this story unfold, imagine standing in her place. Imagine discovering your spouse's secret videos with someone else, not once, but over and over again. What would you do? Would you walk away quietly, or would you make them pay? Tell us in the comments what you think you would have done. Layla wasn't ready to let go, not yet. She had seen everything she needed to see. Now, she wanted to face the woman who had taken what was hers. What she didn't realize, however, was that this confrontation would not end in words. It would end in blood. The morning Priya Sharma vanished began like any other. She left her apartment early, carrying her small beige handbag, wearing the same light blue scrubs she always wore to the hospital. Her roommate Aisha remembered her smiling faintly and saying she'd be home late. Nothing unusual. But that night, Priya never returned. Her bed remained untouched, her phone went straight to voicemail, and by the next morning, her locker at the hospital was still locked. At first, her colleagues assumed she had taken a sudden leave or flown back to India. But as days passed with no word, concern turned to fear. The hospital administration tried contacting her emergency numbers, but her family hadn't heard from her either. A missing person report was filed with Dubai police, who began retracing her last known movements. CCTV footage from her apartment building showed Priya leaving around 7 p.m. the night she disappeared. She looked calm, scrolling through her phone, waiting briefly outside before getting into a black car. The license plate led straight to one name, Farhan Al-Mansoor. When investigators questioned Farhan, he appeared shocked and confused. He admitted that Priya had visited him that evening, but claimed she left shortly after. According to him, they had an argument about ending the relationship and she walked out, but the police weren't convinced. There were no surveillance videos showing Priya leaving his property. The cameras near the main gate had conveniently stopped working that night. A coincidence too large to ignore. Officers searched Farhan's villa, located near the private beaches of Jubail. Everything appeared spotless, almost too clean. But under the carpet in his living room, forensic teams discovered faint bloodstains. They also found a phone memory card hidden in a drawer inside his office desk. When the files were recovered, investigators were stunned. The videos matched the same clips that had been circulating among Dubai's elite footage of Farhan and Priya together. But there was one more file that had never been seen before. It was a shaky recording, filmed in the same room where the blood was found. The timestamp was from the night Priya went missing. The video showed her sitting on a couch, crying. Her voice was soft, trembling, as she apologized repeatedly to someone off camera. "Please, I didn't mean to hurt anyone," she said through tears. Then the recording abruptly ended. No one appeared in the frame, but the presence of another person was undeniable. Farhan denied any involvement. He insisted he had deleted those videos long ago and had no idea how the card ended up in his drawer. But digital forensics revealed that the card had been inserted into another phone before being hidden, Layla's phone. Police immediately brought her in for questioning. Layla remained calm, composed, even as officers showed her the evidence. She denied knowing anything about Priya's disappearance, claiming she hadn't spoken to her husband about the affair since discovering it, but when they checked her phone records, a different picture emerged. Layla's phone location placed her near Farhan's beach villa on the night Priya disappeared, at the exact same time as Priya's arrival. The timeline was closing in. Investigators began to suspect that the couple knew far more than they were admitting. Still, there was no body, and without it, the case was only circumstantial. Days turned into weeks. Rumors spread through the hospital that Priya had been murdered. Her friends back home held candlelight vigils, desperate for answers. Meanwhile, the police continued combing through the desert outskirts of Dubai, hoping for a breakthrough. That breakthrough finally came 3 weeks later when a construction worker discovered a half-buried handbag near an abandoned site miles away from the city. Inside were Priya's ID card, a lipstick, and the silver bracelet Farhan had once gifted her. Forensic teams searched the area and found traces of burned fabric and what appeared to be human remains. DNA confirmed it. The body belonged to Priya Sharma. The news sent shockwaves through both the hospital and the high society circles of Dubai. The quiet nurse who had cared for patients by day and loved in secret by night had met a brutal end. Police arrested Farhan immediately, charging him with obstruction of justice and destruction of evidence. Layla was brought in once again, this time as a primary suspect. Her composure began to crack. When confronted with the evidence, the memory card, the location data, The blood in the villa, her silence grew heavier by the second. For those watching this story right now, think about this. How quickly can love turn into a death sentence? How many times do people ignore the warning signs until it's too late? If you're still watching, hit that like button, because what comes next will reveal the darkest truth behind Priya's final night as the investigation unfolded. The police pieced together a chilling sequence of events. Priya had gone to meet Farhan that evening after receiving a message from him, or so she thought. What she didn't know was that the message had been sent by someone else, someone who wanted her to come there, someone who already knew everything about her secret life. The trap was set, and Priya had walked right into it. By the time authorities realized this, the damage had been done. The love story that began with care and comfort inside a hospital had ended in violence and silence inside a mansion. The question now wasn't whether Priya had been killed, but who, between Farhan and Layla, had been the one to end her life. When police finally confronted Layla Al-Mansour with the full extent of the evidence, her confidence began to crumble. For weeks, she had maintained her innocence, presenting herself as the betrayed wife who had simply moved on from her husband's infidelity. But digital footprints told a different story. Her phone had been at the beach villa on the night of Priya's disappearance. Her fingerprints were on the memory card, and security footage from a nearby petrol station showed her car traveling toward the coast that same evening. She could no longer hide behind the mask of composure she had worn so well. The interrogation began quietly. At first, Layla denied everything, claiming she went to the villa only the next morning after hearing about an argument between Farhan and the nurse. But as detectives pressed harder, showing her the timeline, the cell tower data, and the recovered footage of Priya pleading on camera, her facade began to crack. The air in the room grew tense, her voice faltered, and finally, she whispered the words that changed everything. She had been there. Her confession came in fragments, spoken between long silences and trembling hands. After discovering the videos of Farhan and Priya, Layla said she had been consumed by rage and humiliation. She confronted Farhan, demanding answers, but he refused to discuss it. That's when she made a decision she would never be able to undo. She used Farhan's phone while he slept, messaging Priya and pretending to be him. The message was simple: a request to meet at the beach villa, to talk, to end things peacefully. Priya, unaware of the deception, agreed. She believed she was finally going to have closure with the man she loved. When Priya arrived, it wasn't Farhan who greeted her at the door. It was Layla. The nurse froze in shock, her face draining of color. Layla told police that she hadn't planned to kill her. She only wanted to confront her, to make her feel the pain she herself had felt watching those videos. But anger, once unleashed, is hard to control. The confrontation escalated quickly. Accusations turned into shouting, and shouting turned into violence. Layla struck Priya, and in the struggle that followed, the younger woman fell, hitting her head on the edge of a table. Layla panicked. She claimed she tried to wake her, shaking her, crying, begging her to open her eyes, but Priya was motionless. That was when Farhan arrived, unaware of what had happened until he saw the scene before him. Instead of calling for help, he tried to protect his wife. Together, they wrapped Priya's body in a blanket, placed her in Farhan's car, and drove deep into the desert under the cover of night. There, they buried her, destroyed her belongings, and burned her clothes. Layla said she wanted to turn herself in the next day, but Farhan stopped her, convincing her that no one would ever find out. But secrets have a way of resurfacing, especially in a city where every corner is under a camera's gaze. When police recovered the footage and the bracelet, their carefully hidden crime unraveled like a thread pulled too far. In court, the story shocked everyone who heard it. Layla's confession became the centerpiece of one of Dubai's most infamous trials. The judge described the crime as one born of jealousy, pride, and uncontrolled rage. Farhan's defense tried to argue that he was guilty only of panic, not murder, but the evidence showed he had tampered with the scene and hidden crucial proof. He was convicted of obstruction of justice and given 15 years in prison. Layla, however, received a life sentence for premeditated murder. The courtroom was silent when the verdict was read. Farhan sat motionless, eyes lowered, while Layla stared straight ahead, her face blank. The woman who had once lived in luxury now faced a lifetime behind bars. Haunted by the ghost of the woman she destroyed, Priya's remains were flown back to India, where her family held a small ceremony in her hometown. Her parents wept as they received the ashes of their only daughter, a woman who had left home to build a better life, but found only tragedy. In Dubai, her story became a grim reminder that love, when twisted by lies and envy, can turn fatal. For those still watching, ask yourself this: how far can human emotion go before it becomes something monstrous? What begins as love can so easily turn into possession, and what begins as heartbreak can end in blood. If you've followed this story till the end, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because stories like these aren't just tales from the shadows. They're warnings. In the end, the villa where everything happened was sold quietly, and no one who lives there now knows what took place within its walls. But sometimes, neighbors say, late at night, they hear faint sounds from the beach, the echo of a woman's voice, crying softly in the wind, like a memory that refuses to be buried. And that's how the story of Priya Sharma, the nurse who fell in love with her patient, turned into one of Dubai's most haunting crimes.